Well, he's going to be Nomad. So it's going to be quite interesting game. And quite interesting map with the middle pond. So that's kind of some kind of combination between what is the one that is actually the water around continental, I think, and Mediterranean. That's quite curious. And looking at the villages all around, I don't really know where to look first, but looking at the civilizations we have for Klrz, Lele is Chinese, Tvik is Vikings, Ask is Persians, then Elixir is Vikings, Custom Mayans, and Sult is Persians. So that's a proper mirror right there. And Perit is soon at the rob of the town center for Lele right here. So he is definitely committed to this space on the map. Having quite a decent amount of release from the green as well. So it really looks to me that Klrz is going to be at pretty much the same spot as his teammate. And last from Klrz is going to be Teal, who is right now basing his base on the top side. And, well, he's going to be fighting a quite hard fight against his opponents. Well, that's a lot of sheep. That's a lot of sheep, and I'm not exactly sure if it's the cleverest idea actually to move them somewhere to the right. Yeah, exactly thinking that he might be just sending them to his light wake, because he knows that he's basically on the map from there, which means that he would definitely lose them, as you would expecting. He could be expecting that somebody is here, exactly is blue, and yeah, no will fight in the first 3 minutes, and that would be it. Not exactly sure, I haven't noticed that. And, well, right now we see that's exactly what is happening here, with Lele giving all the amount of sheep to his light Tvik, and Tvik will definitely be happy about that, because even though he does have some pretty nice hunt on the left, that's going to be quite hard for him. So what's happening somewhere? They are just talking about some will fight. I'm not exactly sure where it should be. Maybe here. I'm not exactly sure what's happening here. Right now we have a bit of a pause probably. We are just restarting the game because of some will fighting. But I don't really see anything suspicious, or rather, I don't see any kind of skeletons from villages. Here it was. Yeah, Tvik and Elixir. Yeah, they have a bit of a go at them, and that shouldn't be happening. So they have probably restarted, I would be saying, or rather guessing. I'm just going to go back into the room. What's happening in here? So far, they're not doing anything. They seem to be all in the game. So not exactly. Nobody's messaging me, so they should be really right now committed to what they are doing. That was definitely about this between Tvik and Elixir, and somebody was just picking a fight here, and I kinda thinking it might have been Tvik, because he's having quite a lot of extra hit points above his opponent, so he definitely should have, or rather, did take the first shot, the first hit on his opponent. That's slightly unfortunate, and still everybody in the game. So, well, let's just have a look around. It's probably going to be resulting in continuation of the game so far, or yeah. That's basically all that we know so far. But let's have a look somewhere else. If somebody is going for the water at the top, he will definitely be quite lucky, as there's quite a lot of fishing spots, especially looking at the water on the minimap. But looking at the rock placements on the here, that's going to be just Salt Arc with a bit of villages from Lele. So I might be thinking that he might be building a dock here as well, which would be quite interesting and definitely a good idea, as this is going to be quite bountiful spot to fight for. You can see on the minimap there's a lot of spots, and anybody who wins this kind of water, that's going to be quite strong indeed. So you seem to be continuing just fine with a bit of a fun commentaries right there, and otherwise I don't really see anybody going for the docks, just the yellow player, or rather the red player, with yellow maybe following. And let's have a look at some of the positions of the other players. Seems to be quite nice for red, having 3 boars right next to his base, so not any kind of problem with also the extra gold and extra stone. Well, this is a pretty sweet spot actually on the map for a red. He's having a lot of hunt here. Double berries if he needs to. A lot of extra mines. But if he happens to lose the water to yellow or whatever, whoever is going to fight against him, that's going to be quite interesting. And well, quite a lot of mines. And if he can secure the water, he will be having a very nice spot for potential booming, as he is basically cut off from everybody. You can see all three opponents ask Lele and Vic are on the left side together with double from Elixir and the blue player custom, and red is basically just occupying the whole part of the island just for himself, and he will be, I think, the crucial player in this game if he can somehow make proper use of it. How's it looking with the map for the yellow player? Oh, that sucks. That's pretty horrible for him because obviously this means he can't really gather from this safely, or rather safely. He cannot gather from it almost at all because it's going to be quite hard to get there. He will need to cut through this forest on the top side at least to make some kind of efficient gold mining, and this means that he will have to find some extra gold mine to gather from. Fortunately for him, he does something at the top. He can basically share with green as they are having double mines with scratch double. Let's say some kind of quadruple or whatnot. And even though this is kind of closer to his opponent, well, it's not really going to be all that problematic because if they can secure those two mines, it's just going to be a question of time before they develop into the further here. Yep. How's it looking here? Oh, that's a dock. That's a gutsy dock in the middle here. And it seems like the green is actually doing exactly the same thing. So it's going to be maybe a double battle on the water. We can see, right now, the big together with yellow will be having basically 2 versus 1 against Salt, whereas on the middle there's going to be a proper 1v1 between Klrz Ask and Elixir Arc. Well, this is going to be quite an interesting battle and also very important because if the game happen to go into late game, this middle pond is going to be quite important for potentially some cannon galleons or whatnot to control this middle of the map. So yep, that's going to be quite important for the whole duration of the game. Quite a lot of golds here in the choke point here, together with also the relic. So I'm thinking this is going to be a very nice spot for extra TCs. And it seems like that for the Vic, because he's obviously here in the position already right now trying to build the houses so that he knows where his opponents are. And it seems to be the same for Elixir, who is right now trying to make sure that he actually knows the location of his opponents and knows when he is going somewhere into the offensive. Well, I'm kind of thinking that right now should be basically realizing what's going to happen here, and that's him getting his butt kicked on the water from both Lele and Vic. That's not going to result into anything else, and he should be probably thinking about some other docks somewhere else, and it really seems like that's exactly what's going to happen, as this really is moving in for some kind of scouting with the houses, and also potentially looking for some extra placement for on the dock. On the left, still a bit of scouting going on from green player, who is moving also to the forefront for a mill. Up from Salt, who is the first to advance, and he's advancing at 18 villages. Well, he's at 18 villages, custom arc is at 18 also, but he doesn't seem to be advancing yet. I'm going to switch into him. Well, he isn't advancing yet. Is he building extra release? No, he doesn't seem to be. Just one and one more. Okay, so he'll be advancing and a bit more, but I'm seriously worried that Elixir are because he's having just 12 release, and even though he's having 5 fishing boats, which is basically the same as his opponents, is definitely not going to be enough if he wants to be some kind of serious opposition to Ask on the water and Klrz overall on the land. He's at least doing anything that he can to help his allies, and that's right now trying to wall this gold in so that his opponent actually cannot go for it. But unfortunately for him, he probably doesn't know about this extra gold in the base of the Vic. Does he know about it? No, he doesn't. Yeah. So right now he's knowing that his opponents are here, and he's at least doing something that he can with the low amount of villages that he has, and that's denying opponent his resources. But unfortunately, yeah, it's not going to be all that successful. Yeah, in the text on the left, you can see that Lala right now with Vic are basically communicating what they're going to do against their opponent, but sorry, having a bit of a hiccups here. That's not going to be really all that valuable communication because obviously they are just now advancing into Fear Age, whereas Salt is already in, and he will definitely be the fast with some extra galleys and disrupting the economy of his opponent. So just switching into Salt. Oh yeah, galleys are already coming out, and since Steel is not even advancing, it's going to be a proper 1v1 for quite a long time, and it's not really going to be all that easy for Lele, because obviously they are having similar economies, 21 for Salt, Lele well, 26, so not really similar, sorry about that, but still the advantage in the early advance is going to be quite substantial with the 2 dogs from red and just the 1 for teal and yellow, so that's going to be quite important in there. And he's also trying to wall himself in red, so he's already thinking about even defense on the land here. Yep, so as we have said at the very beginning, this is going to be quite important for the game. You can see that yellow is already retreating with all the fishing boats to the left, as they are basically recognizing that they have absolutely no chance fighting against red here. So that's a pretty good job on advancing early on his opponents. And well, even though he's going to be facing some fighting here, potentially from Lele, I'm not exactly sure how much, because so far he's having just 1 dog here, and he's probably going to be building some extra on the left, obviously, because he needs. Yeah, so right now finished with the left here with the left dog. And well, unfortunately for him, I don't really see all that many fish here. Just a few. It's going to last him for the very beginning, but otherwise, looking at the minimap, that's just a whole lot of nothing. A whole lot of nothing, and he will definitely have to fight for quite a lot of spots in the forefront. And if they are killed by red here, this is going to be quite important for the further duration, or rather for the further progress of the game, because if they cannot defend the water, they are going to be having, or rather giving their opponents quite a lot of extra economy for them to develop on. Yeah, barracks right now being dropped for both Ask and Lele, who are advancing to Feudal Age. Tvik is the last one to advance into Feudal Age together with Elixir Arc. And looking at the villages, Elixir Arc has actually gotten back into the game quite substantially, as he's right now at 21. He was behind like 12 to 20, something like that, and he definitely did do a good job, and he's basically on par with his opponents. And look at how Lele with Salt are right now almost equal as well. The game is really equaling out. It really seemed at the beginning that Klrz are going to be having a huge upper hand, but that's not really happening right now. And even though Bolt is not really using his boats to the best of his abilities, I would say, he would be doing a much better job exactly joining this fight and going all the way to the left, trying to kill as much as they can, because obviously they have nowhere to run here. It's still quite valuable, and he needs to hurry up, because first galleys from yellow and potentially even from blue will be coming up very soon. Where from blue, he won't really mind, because obviously blue is the ally of red, so sorry about that. Well, let's see if he actually does something here. Let's switch into custom. Right now he will probably have to, because he's right now forced into it by the first galley from the Chinese player Lele. But what's also important on the right side is that Lele is having a few villages on the right side, and he is already having a stable here, and will be disrupting the economy from his opponent very soon. There's a lot of mines here, rather there are a lot of mines, especially stone, which might be quite missing for his opponent, even though he does have something in the base. But yet again, in the later game, this could be quite valuable spot to control for either of the teams. And right now it's definitely looking how that Lele is the one aiming for it. On the water in the middle, let's have a look how is it looking. And Elixir Arc is actually doing a pretty good job, because it seems like that Klrz Ask is not doing anything on the water. He doesn't want to actually fight for it, which is slightly curious, because he should be, as there's quite a lot of fish all around and quite a lot of extra food to be gathered for his opponent. And I'm not exactly sure this is going to be the correct course of action, but looking how he's in Castle Age with Lele as well. Custom Mark is the first actually to advance into Castle Age, so still basically equal. And well, we'll see if maybe Ask is going to be switching into War Galleys into the middle here. Bit of a fight on the left still. Oh well, not really all that much of a fight. Just yellow having a bit of a raiding on the fishing boats of his opponent. But here at the top, red is finally finding some opposition, and that's Tvik switching into some galleys. And since he's still in Feudal Age, it might be pretty much an equal battle for them, 30 villagers versus 33, so I would be thinking that red should be winning this battle overall, especially once he joins with all those boats. Oh well, this is a pretty nice build-up for Tvik, and a bit of a surprise for red, I would be guessing. But looking how they are both fighting at basically their own bases, with proper micro, red should be winning, but I'm not exactly convinced about this. It's Persian against a Viking. And it almost seems like that Tvik actually ejected a bit sooner than he should have, as he's right now losing, and even though he's doing all he can with the micromanagement of his unit, he's definitely not doing a good enough job, and is having a bit of a problems fighting this battle on his own. Let's have a look on the land here. How's it looking? I see a bit of a raiding from the yellow player, but unfortunately for him that's not really going to be enough, as Custom Arc has already finished the defensive castle and is right now working on a town center. And well, all this means is that the goal is going to be safe, and with a bit more extra plant archers, this is going to be very easy for it to defend, especially if we can make use of this extra bit of a hill and place these plant archers exactly there. Well, first though, Blue needs to finish this town center, as without any question, because with the extra fire from all those buildings, he could be basically impenetrable. It would be very costly for his opponent to raid. Even though he's still attempting to do so, he needs to send extra villagers into the TC. Yep, get some extra TC fire and get rid of those pesky knights that are right now ravaging his economy. Pretty good job at that, but we also need to switch on to the right side, because we have seen that Lele has been establishing some kind of beachhead, and he's right now pumping out enough knights to make life miserable for his opponent, and that's yet another person. That's Salt Arc. Well, Salt Arc is right now going to be under some heavy raiding, because he doesn't have any kind of army, just right now dropping barracks. Well, 23 minutes game time in, and that's definitely not soon enough, as he's going to be facing quite a lot of problems, because those knights can get through those palisades quite easily, which is still not going to result, I think, in death of those villagers, but it's going to result into no gathering from the guy that's going to be either building some extra walls or repairing the palisades here. Underwater, there's definitely a victory for Red. And once he moves with all these units to the left, and there's basically going to be a victory there as well. And, well, that might be pretty much it for the water of the Klrz team. But not really. Let's not be hasty, because Lele is switching into some fire ships, which are pretty good, obviously, against just normal galleys. Castle is right now being researched for Salt Arc, Elixir, and Vic. And it seems like the town center has been finished from Custom Arc, and this is pretty good defensive position for him, but he needs to build all the extra units that he can before he can think about some kind of advance onto his opponent. The middle fight, or rather middle water, yeah, here we see that Ask is finally getting back into the water here, and with quite a lot of units, and also pretty strong ones, because galleys can't really do all that much against all this pierce armor, 6 pierce armor, and extra damage that is being dealt to them. Yeah, this is a pretty good job, and I'm kinda thinking that Klrz Ask is going to be winning the water here in just a matter of moments and pushing the economy from the caster advancing Elixir into the gutters where it was at the very beginning, even though he was able to get thrown from that quite nicely. Looking at the amount of villages, Lele 45, Twig 36, Ask 42, whereas opponents are having 34, 37, 31. That's definitely an advantage for Klrz. Definitely an advantage from Klrz, and they are also facing quite a lot of raiding from Yellow right now on the right side. Well, he is though having quite a decent amount of camels, which basically should mean the stop of the indiscriminate raiding from his opponent. Extra TCs being built at these crucial points and crucial resources, so that's a pretty good job by Red containing all this. And it all, yeah, there's actually a bit of a switch in here on the teams, so Arc B are definitely not doing bad here. Quite the opposite, they are doing very well, and I'm kinda thinking that the water is going to be quite important for the remainder of the game, because if Red can deny all the economy to his opponents, that's definitely going to help him quite nicely, and as a Prussian, he could be booming quite strongly. He should also be very off the bottom. He does have some kind of patrols here, because Green does have a dog here, and potentially could be thinking about some kind of nonsense once he is in maybe even Imperial Age and whatnot, but so far that's not happening, and well, seems like that the red Persian player is right now just aiming to wall himself in and prepare for the advance into Imperial Age and the Paladins and whatnot. Not much happening here on the left, just a bit of a raiding by the number of galleys that Red has. Yeah, Lala right now basically exactly commenting on this. He was hoping that this one boat could actually take care of it. Yeah, not true. Not true, and this is basically it for the water economy for this opponent. So pretty good job, and Arc B are slightly but surely inching forward with the economy, because they are going to be having the advantage of the water economy if they can take care of it properly. In the middle though, it's not going to be all that easy for them, as obviously they are facing a bit of a boats from Green, who has somehow managed to lose them, which is slightly curious, but basically Elixir Arc went for the water a bit more, which meant that Ask didn't, and well, then he lost. Not really all that hard maths to do here. Bit of a radiant right now coming on yellow. If actually red can execute, because he cannot. Stvik is joining in the battle here with Lele, and this might be developing into some pretty nasty double from Lele together with Stvik on the Persian player. And here again, as we have been saying at the very start, the solitude of Salt might be a bit of a problem. It might be a problem or an advantage, but right now it is developing into the disadvantage, because it doesn't seem like that Arx, or rather Elixir, or his other ally Custom will be able to help him anytime soon. I don't really see anything from Elixir so far, so I'm slightly curious if he isn't slinging. No, he isn't. No, he isn't, so it's kinda curious why we don't see any kind of army from purple. Right now he's just building everything for the water, which is not really enough, and he should definitely be thinking about developing into some kind of army, because he could be pushing forward together with his ally very soon. This is basically a bit of an offensive TC. He's trying to protect the gold and also have some kind of defensible position before he does have enough resources for the castle here, and that's going to be quite important, because yet again that's going to be a defensive position that will allow some extra shooting at the units of his opponents. But looking at the amount of plumed archers together with the mangonels and also the hill here, this is going to be quite difficult for Klrz to do anything about. And well, seems like that Custom Arc together with Elixir will be having a pretty decent position here, especially right now switching into bonks as well to counter some of the knights from their opponents. Oh yeah, well, that's a bit too late. That's a bit too late, but better late than never. And this is going to be a castle as opposed to just a TC, so yeah, that's a pretty good idea. And yet again, this is going to be a very important choke point for the next development of the game. Green is also developing to the right side, so they are slightly moving towards their opponents. A bit of a battle here happening, but red seems to be emerging victorious, and I don't really see any kind of extra units here, just Russians from the Klrz team. Ask is having a bit of a night here, but he is retreating back and waiting basically for the army of his opponent, or rather of his ally Tvik, to join in and have some proper fight. Yep, you can see switching. The Vikings are switching into barracks here, and I'm kind of thinking that's going to be for a bit of spearmen or maybe even pikemen, and to get rid of all those knights from the South Arc Persian. Imperial Age from Klrz, Lele. And can we get a good shot in? Probably not. Right now retreating for the hill. Oh, this could be pretty nice surprise, as he's trying to circle the units here and basically go from the back at the Mangonel here, so that's a pretty good idea. And he doesn't even need to do that. He doesn't even need to do that. Oh well, that's well played, and more than well played, not really well played by their opponents, by Arx. But can he still get some good shot in? Well, he did do some damage, but not really enough. And this is just Mangonel on revenge here. This is just Mangonel on revenge, trying to kill as much as he can. And it doesn't seem like he will be successful. Or will he? Or will he? Oh yeah, he did. So he did get his revenge. He did kill at least all those archers, so that was well worth it. Because even though he didn't kill all that many units, he still died quite a lot of army from his opponent, Tvik, and basically allowed some kind of chance to his ally Salt Arc, or rather to himself. But unfortunately, yeah, you can see that Ask is also joining in the battle, and this is pretty much developing into proper 3 versus 1. And, well, that's basically because the left choke point is very nice defended by Arx, and there's absolutely no way through, and they are doing the next best thing, and that's attacking the ally of their opponents. That is basically Solitude, or rather Solitary, and having no chance of any kind of help from his opponents, or rather from his allies. On the left, seems like a pretty strong attack by Custom Arcs. And well, that's really a strong attack. And it's basically developing from the fact that there's absolutely no units from Lele. He doesn't have any kind of military buildings here. Green is having somewhere else, and well, even though the castle is finished, it did cost quite a lot of viris to Lele. He has right now dropped just to 62. Which is the same as Elixir Arc and Salt Arc, but he did lose quite a lot of them, like at least 10, which was well worth it for the blue player, but unfortunately the castle hasn't been prevented, and right now it's going to take, I'm afraid, trebuchets or at least some battering rams to get through here. So Blue is doing a pretty good job on the left side in containing, well, keeping their opponents busy, but they are not really busy enough, as obviously all those knights from yellow are raiding on the right side from those double stables and joined by the extra units from the big, who is right now having a pretty huge economy at 93 villages, having the most of everybody in the game. In advancing into Imperial Age, the same as Custom Mark, well, this could be quite deadly for the Persian player, but still he's doing a pretty good job and basically being able to defend himself against all three opponents just like that. So that's a pretty good job on that. Still some kind of galleys on the water from Red, who is basically owning absolutely everything, but not really having any kind of fishing boats. They're having fishing boats just from Elixir in the middle. Right now on all those farms or other fish farms, and a bit of a raiding from Blue, and oh well, that's backfiring. That's seriously backfiring, and he needs to retreat as soon as possible, but unfortunately that's going to result in letting some extra units in, which is not something that he would be very happy about. And oh well, that's sad, especially when the cavalry are right now in, and that's going to result in a lot of death economy and also a lot of death boon touches from his blue opponent. So that's a pretty unfortunate raiding from Blue, who has lost basically all his army in this very unfortunate attempted raid in his opponent. Also resulting in pretty much killing the economy of his ally Elixir, which is something that he did not want, but with the Imperial Age being in from Custom Arc very soon, he might be able to get rid of this castle, and once he does, he will be just free to go into the opponent's base very easily. But he needs to hurry, because obviously these trebuchets from his opponent are pretty strong, and especially with the mangonel here. Cavaliers coming in, well, that's going to be quite problematic for the Mayan player here to deal with, especially without the extra defense of the castle. Custom Arc, and we have heard some barracks drop somewhere. On the left. So he's switching into possibly halberdiers, which is definitely a good idea against all those cavaliers and something that you would expect. But he definitely needs to switch into some kind of army very soon, and he needs to be very careful about what he does. Those archers could definitely be killing all those knights. The amount of siege here, especially supported by those cavaliers, is going to be quite problematic to deal with. But it seems like that it's time for Soldark to save the situation, and he's going in with quite a lot of camels and knights. And oh well, can he kill all those villages on the gold here? Well, probably not, because Green is noticing right now. But this is pretty decent army, and if he can kill all those siege, that's going to be quite valuable for him. Extra castle for a yellow, and he's already said that he's switching into Chukonus, which is what you would expect from a Chinese player in the Imperial Age. Imperial Age for Soldark as well, so we will be seeing Cavaliers and Paladins from him very soon as well. And he can right now, yeah, upgrade is here, with extra upgrades for quite a lot of players here, especially for the big Captram Chemistry and Ring Archer armor, which is basically telling you what's going to happen here from the Vikings player. Of Radiance still on the gold, where basically Ask was thinking that, yeah, he has turned somewhere else, but he didn't. He's going to cost him quite a lot of villages, which is a pretty good job on Radiant by Soldark, but I'm at the same time worried that he might be neglecting what's going on in his base, and that's quite a lot of quite a lot of extra units, especially those Arbalests from the Teal, and he's having quite a lot of them right now in the attack here. Yeah, he's breaking into his opponent's base, and if he can supply enough siege, which he right now seems to be supplying from those Captrams, well, this is pretty much going to be it, because this attempted castle from the Persian player is right now stopped, and that was basically the last attempt at some kind of defense, and even though he does have something here, it's not going to be easy to defend at all. Yeah, NGGs are right now being called, and, well, Klrz are winning the match 2-0, and I have to say that Custom Arc, together with Salt Arc and Elixir Arc, did pretty good job in this match, and it seemed like that Klrz did have a pretty hard time fighting their way through. The game took quite a long time, and well, nicely played from Arcs, but better from Klrz, and they will be the ones advancing into the playoffs of the AOC Crown League Season 38. Nicely played, nicely played. Let's have a look at the achievements. With the Wake having the most points here. Well, yeah, he wasn't really attacked, so That's basically the reason. Pretty decent amount of units killed, so very nice kill ratio. But same cannot be said for custom arc bar. That's basically the result of, well, they are tied together, Klrz Arc and custom arc, because they had the pretty big fight of those cavaliers and the plumed archers that basically custom arc lost all his army, and that was quite deadly for him. Pretty heavy sling from Salt Arc and to Elixir Arc, but that was at the very beginning, or rather at the very end, because we were checking for that in like 3/4 of the game, and there wasn't anything happening in here, so that was just basically trying to save the situation at the very end. Okay then, GG.